medicine wheel here, the dream catcher.
Sensitive one to a lot, but at the same time, I've seen over the years that that there's a lot of discussion that's been happening around residential school and the organizations that have been talking with various groups and opening up and having just people talk about all the issues that they've got with problems that happen over the years, and it's good to see that that we're able to sit down and talk about these things, because for too long things have been I guess repressed as far as memories and not wanting to deal with a lot of issues. But at the same time, like I say, I've noticed some differences as far as how people are starting now to be able to talk about things that have happened to help the younger generations and how to deal with the problems that we've got and where some of the problems may be coming from. So I noticed a lot of young people are starting to do things a lot different today, and people are starting to talk about things that have happened and why things are the way they are. So I'm really glad.
And Richard is going to explain the medicine wheel here, the dream catcher, and all the names that are on there. He'll explain that to us, and then by that time maybe the guest speaker will arrive. What we want to do today is hear each one of us story, what happened to us over there. So don't be afraid to come up. We're all family, and I'll leave it to Dwayne now, okay?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Elise and Agnes for inviting me out here today for the opening remarks. I'd also like to say thanks to the elders and to the people of our community to this gathering to talk about this whole issue that's happening around residential school. And I know that the topic is a very sensitive one to a lot, but at the same time, I've seen over the years that that there's a lot of discussion that's been happening around residential school and the organizations that have been talking with various groups and opening up and having just people talk about all the issues that they've got with problems that happen over the years. And it's good to see that that we're able to sit down and talk about these things, because for too long things have been I guess repressed as far as memories and not wanting to deal with a lot of issues. But at the same time, like I say, I've noticed some differences as far as how people are starting now to be able to talk about things that have happened to help the younger generations and how to deal with the problems that we've got and where some of the problems may be coming from. So I noticed a lot of young people are starting to do things a lot different today, and people are starting to talk about things that have happened and why things are the way they are. So I'm really glad that people are here to talk about the whole thing on where it is that we're going and what it is that we're up against. And when I got into office a number of years ago, last year when I got in, I said that my position is very important to the people, and it's the ideas that the people have that I speak on. And it's good to have gatherings like this, because this is where ideas are brought out and ideas that are presented to me, so that I'm able to speak on your behalf when it is that I'm out there dealing and speaking on behalf of our people. So with that, I'd like to again say thanks to Agnes and Elise and to the people that helped organize this gathering, and I hope that we can really come out with some good points, because I haven't really been involved in these areas, and I'm really interested in how it is that I'm able to speak and to support what the people are saying here today. And this is where the ideas are coming from, and those are things that I have to deal with the position that I've got. So with that, again, I'd like to say thanks. I've also got another meeting in town here at 10:30, so I'll be a little bit late, but I at least wanted to be here to at least thank the people for coming out today, and that we have a really good day, and I hope that we can accomplish a lot by meeting and talking about things that we've got and how it is that we're going to be moving forward. So again, thank you very much. Thank you, Joyce.
Later on, we're going to move back to Cold Lake First Nations, probably about 5:30 when the power goes on. And there's going to be a dance. There's going to be a soup and bannock supper and then a dance over there. The theme of this gathering is called Welcome Home. A lot of us that have gone to residential school were never formally welcomed home to their communities. And one of the elders here had a vision that you should always welcome these people home so that they'll feel that they finally come home to their communities. So that's the reason why our theme of this gathering is Welcome Home. I'll let Richard explain this dream catcher.
Hello everybody, my name is Richard Ndokampo. My native name is Dayhawk. And for me, when I start doing this dream catcher, there's a lot of different colors in these dream catchers. There's red, white, black. The native colors also to show that we're all a whole people. That and all this, the middle part, the blue part, that's the people, the elders that we lost. And if you look at on that Bristol board, there's survivors. Right underneath is just the elders. In my heart, my eyes, those are the true elders. The elders here are the true elders. They survived all through that and can still hold their heads and talk. For me, that's surviving. The green one, the green ones are the names of people who are still alive that we still have. So we still have a lot of elders. We've lost a lot, but we also still have a lot of elders. So we're still rich with elders. And I want to say thank you for the people that are here. And my dream catcher, the 4 different direction colors on the beam here. Again, to bring this all together, I need the oldest survivor here. Who's the oldest survivor here in the audience? Pauline?
Who is the oldest person here? Baptiste? Could Baptiste come forward?
You want to?
We want to honor the oldest elder to put the eagle feather in the middle for the survivors, and he's going to be helped by this RCMP here. Baptiste, did you want to say something?
No. I got nothing to say.
Thank you very much. It was very emotional to make this dream catcher. All the ones that are blue in the middle are all the ones that passed away, that went to residential school. And a lot of them, all of them, every one of us know these people. And it was very emotional, touched me very deeply. And all the ones that are green, those are the ones that are still alive. And one of an elder said that because we were little children and we suffered so much while we were in residential school, we earned that right to be elders now. Every one of the people that went to residential school earned that right to be elders because they suffered so much as little children. So don't be ashamed of where you come from. You guys are elders. You're the survivors. You're the elders now. You earned that right when you were a little child. I know it wasn't always a fun place. I too suffered a lot from the time I was little. I suffered from abandonment because I thought my parents didn't love us. That's why they sent us away. It was only after I told my sister, after I became about 20 years old, I was telling this to my sister, and she said, that's not true. Mom and Dad didn't abandon you. She said, Mama cried for you kids. Every time you guys went to residential school, she used to cry for a whole week after we left. So can you imagine how our parents felt when we were taken away? All this time I thought we were just, our parents didn't love us. That's why they were sending us away. So we have a guest speaker, Dave Bellew is here. He's going to speak. We're honored to have him here. If you would come forward.
Thank you. Thank you. I made a long turn off coming here from Bonnyfield. I went on a muddy road up towards the other surf there. I went up there with my car and these construction workers. I was wondering what these cars doing coming up the road, I rolled down my window and I told them, ram tough. That's what he said to ram tough. And I think that's the experience of us people that went to the residential school are. We're like ram tough. We've gone through a lot of hard life. We've gone through difficult times, lonely times. Personally, I went into residential school. I never knew how to be a boy ever since I grew up. When I was 14 years old, I thought to be a young man you need to be a bull rider, so I became a bull rider. I broke 5 ribs, rode more horses, broke some more ribs. I thought that's what we're supposed to do as Indian people. So I never knew what life was all about. So I'm really honored and happy for you to have such a beautiful color. This is the color of your spirit. If there's anything that the soul became tarnished during the times of your life in that place, it's like a rainbow today. You've created your rainbow so your children can see through you. They can see some of the outcomes of what you had to go through. I lived in Edmonton for 10 years, from 1989 to 99. I used to work for Nietzsche Institute. I sold my house on 95th and 163rd Street, and so my son and I were the last ones to go home. My whole family went home. And David Jr. and I were there. He was 15 years old, and he said, "Dad, can you tell me about yourself when you were 15 years old?" I got a lump in my throat. That child has every right to know about my residential school experience. He needs to know where I'm coming from. He needs to know Dad's outbursts in anger, his outbursts in rage, the silence. That child needs to know where I'm coming from. All of us, there's 9 values in a family, and every one of us are survivors. 2 of my older sisters died of cancer 10 years ago. And today my baby brother, Lenny, is suffering through cancer. When I get home, I probably will have to give him my bone marrow in order to sustain him for a few more years, or however the Creator wants it. You see, I'm living on borrowed time. I was clinically dead when I was about 1.5 years old. I remember I asked my oldest sister who died, Josephine, I said, "What happened? What happened to me when I died?" They said, "There was some very sacred and holy people that helped you come back." So I'm living this life as a gift and giving it to people. How many times us survivors, you and I, we died many deaths, watching our loved ones plunge themselves in car accidents due to alcoholism. How many times do we see ourselves, our people, feeling the hardship of parenthood? My little rebel daughter, where we lived in Edmonton towards the end time, said, "Dad, all I need is love, to be heard and given direction." I did not even know what that was. I didn't know how to give direction. I never knew. I was just like a cow. In residential school, they had whistles and bells, remember? That's the only thing I responded to. When I reflect back, when I go back and I listen to my elders, and we have a lot of elders, we have 59 elders in Anarchlide. And I'm a baby elder, I'm 63 years old. I've just come on, I don't want to be an elder, I'm still young yet. Thank you. But you know, today I don't have an issue with age. I'm 63 years old and I'm proud of it. I've lived a good life, I think. I have 7 children, 6 boys and 1 girl. And they've all learned from their mom and dad the gifts of love and gentleness and genuineness. Every one of them, there's 3 of them living here in Alberta. I need to applaud you people from Alberta, for giving us that opportunity to be here with you for 10 years. You've given us a gift. We found ourselves in the province of Alberta. My wife and I found ourselves here. So I need to say that to you. You've given this Shuswap man a gift and his family. We're in total acclaim towards our lives and how we live our lives. One of my boys works in an oil field here in Alberta. The other one is going to the University of Alberta to become a doctor. My daughter is a fashion designer. She dresses me up. She looks at my socks and she says, "Dad, that doesn't go with that pant." "Dad, that shirt doesn't go." I have my kids that are like that, who are not like Dad in the yesteryears. They're very spontaneous. I have a 17-year-old that could go to junior A hockey if he wanted to, but he chose education. He skated better than me when I was in junior A in BC. He said, "Dad, you know, ever since he was a little boy, I put him in hockey school." He's about this tall now, 17 years old, 175 pounds, really fast. He said, last September, he came up to me. His name is Chapa after his grandfather. He said, "Dad, can I make a choice?" I said, "Sure. Can I choose not to play hockey this year?" My heart, I could feel my heart drop on my shoes, you know. You know, I want an NHL player. But I honor my son's wishes. I honor my son's desire and choice. Today in Williams Lake High School, he's an honor student. He plays guitar this way and this way. I don't know what you call them kind of kids. He plays both ways. He plays rock and roll over here, and he makes him double on this side. And he looks at me and he tells me, "Cool, ain't that?" So I got to learn words. I got to learn the language of being cool. Huh? My children are like that. My son in Toronto is a machinist. He works with fine tools, and he was an IBD on TV. He's a guitar player, he's a musician, he's got his own band. My survival in the residential school gave me those gifts to look on the horizon. There is a possibility of hope. There is a chance for me. Maybe I can craft something. My father, he was a cowboy, you know, he was a really rough man. He had calluses all over his hand. He worked really hard. But at the same time, he had to be tough. Inside, he never showed feelings to anybody. 40 below zero, he was on his horse out there pushing cattle. Keep him moving so they wouldn't freeze. Remember the days when we had 45, 50 below zero weather, which we don't have today now. He used to be out there. Unfortunately, my parents being survivors and could not handle the pain that they survived through in residential school, went to alcohol. My mom and my dad were chronic alcoholics. For many, many years as I grew up, at the same time, compounded being in a residential school, folks, I had another problem. I had parents who drank. They drank themselves to death. So alcohol, in one way, was tending to destroy my total life, to tarnish my rainbow. on my soul, blackened my soul with alcohol. And over here at residential school, you know that's our problem as First Nation people. We're so rich. People get drunk on our land. You know, we have a lot of trees back home. We've got 2 logging companies that's working all the time. And it's really funny, the managers of those 2 logging companies are women. I mean, they got that smart. I mean, they know how to put numbers down, you know. And the men, they're the operators on the big machinery. And a lot of the kids there that work there, you know, their parents are survivors. We have a man's group back home. We have a survivor group back home. We cling to one another when hard times happen. When things happen like that, you know, I'm not afraid to pick up the phone and make a phone call to one of my buddies. Because I know I still have a cloud over my head that still says you're no good Indian. You're a brown-skinned human being. You can't do. You know, in 1963, I graduated from high school in Prince George with the academic background. I applied. I recruited into the RCIF. I want to become a fighter pilot. I love flying. I do a lot of flying today. When I went in there and in the recruitment center, they said I couldn't become a fighter pilot. And I asked them why. You know, I had a little glimpse of spontaneity, a little bit of know how to ask. But for some reason, First Nation people can never fly jet plane, you know. So today, my youngest son wants to be a fighter pilot. But he said, you know what, Dad, I'm going to the United States. That's where I'm going to learn how to fly a jet. My kids scares me sometimes in their spontaneity, but my fears comes from my background. But I'm still working, like the lady said, we're still working on ourselves. The day I've chosen to step out of it, we had 9 veterans that went to the Second World War. They came back and one of them had a bullet inside of him. I asked this guy, who were the best fighters in the Second World War? He looked at me sort of with his axe, tried to split going up in the woods. Us in the underground. That's what he said. I said, who are the underground? They're the people that live on the land. You know, us people in residential school, we've lived underground for too long. We need to come up on top and live. That's the spark. That's where you give the voice to your soul. That's where the soul has a voice. For too long, we're going to took our thing out and give it a voice. We have to stand up and be counted. We have to go behind our chiefs, our leaders, our women, and be counted. Yeah, be scared, but be there. I finished my chief in February. I was a chief for Alec-Life for 4 years. And my council, I have 7 councillors and folks that were all young men, like this young guy here. Very sharp young guys. 1 gal. We had 1 woman. We tend to the issues of our people, of our Alec-Life people. We knew the issues. We knew the drug scene. We knew the gambling. Oh, as you can see it, My background, folks, I'm from the northern Shuswap. There are 2 Shuswap. tribes in British Columbia, central British Columbia. There's a southern Shuswap and there's a northern. On the northern, there are 17 bands that are Shuswap. There's 5 bands up in the north. Alakla Lake's the biggest one. We have about 800 people on ours, not on our service. We have a lot of horses, but we don't have reserve dogs. That is a big liar. Yeah, we're all horsemen. We love horses. A lot of our guys are horse people. They work with horses. When I first started my journey on exploring a lot of the things that you guys are doing here, I honor all these people. To tell you the truth, I asked my older sister, I wonder if I was an alcoholic even before I was born. I asked Josie, that my older sister. I said, was Mom drinking when she was carrying me? She said, yeah. So I probably was an alcoholic before I was even born. So I didn't have a shot before I even come to the world. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have almost 30 years of sobriety. I left it in 1975 pretty close. 1975, Dave changed his life. From Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Phoenix, Vancouver. I drank away my life for 23 years of it. I'm not proud of it. I've learned the education of what clean life is once I sobered up. Oh, also, no offense to you folks if you still do it, I'm also a recovering compulsive gambler. I recovered from gambling in 1992. I'm also a recovering codependent. So I'm a very, very naughty man when you look at it, way back in the old days, but now, you know what my elders told me before I became chief? I didn't want to become a chief, you know. 2 elders came up to my house. 2 of the oldest elders in Alakla Lake come up to my house, knocked on the door. Actually 2 ladies. They come up, you know how they walk slow, and I honor them, they walk slow. I get them to sit down. He said, David, we're not going to come up here and ask you to run for chief. We're going to tell you to run for chief. I had no choice, for heaven's sake. When elders say that, man, you got the holder on you already. I respond. 2 terms I went for chief. I was a counselor before. And at that time he said, David, now you need to clean yourself. You got to clean yourself. You see what this beautiful example is right here? All through the tears of our people, our spirit got cleansed. There's a rainbow in our souls today that speaks. Look at that little child, happy. He has a shot today. He doesn't have to go through the muck we went through. I work with young men back home. You say, Dave, I just hate what I say to my spouse. I just hate what I say to my children. Is there any way I know, teach me how to talk? I don't know even how to talk to my woman. I said, it's really funny you ask, almost the wrong guy. I used to go from Alakla Lake to Williams Lake, which is 30 miles away. When my wife and I are driving along, I don't even see a word all the way to down, and she goes nuts. How many of you women here do that? You know, you guys don't even see a poop all the way in Edmonton, for heaven's sake. Yeah? Why? Because we learned the code of silence in the residential school. We taught, there were 4 tribes in Williams Lake Residential School. We learned the code of silence. We learned each other's language. There was codes. We learned how to keep quiet, but you know what? After I turned it into life, that doesn't work today. Doesn't work. So after I sobered up, I started to, oh, by the way, I'm an electrician by trade. This is what I used to do. You know, work hard, drink hard. During my days when I was doing this, you know, that's what I used to do. I know what happens in all these walls where the water, where the meat drapery is somewhere. But the thing, you know, the electrifying part of my life is connecting myself to my spirit, my heart, so I can reach out to my people out there. That's what I do today. I took my electrician pad and you know how that happened? I was coming back doing my job like this. I was coming through the door and my wife said, they just cut down a young guy from a tree above the house. 13-year-old boy hung himself above my house. That really hit me hard. That struck a chord inside of me. I said, what is going on here? That's why when my sister-in-law, Charlene, there's a room in Nietzsche for training for one more person. Nah, I don't want to go, you know, if I'm sober, I'm good enough. But I don't know what happens when a higher power works. I ended up in Nietzsche. 2 years training, I went there. 3 years actually. I learned about these men. I learned how I did not know nothing. I learned how empty I was. I learned how dangerous I was. I learned too that I needed to go back and take a look at this. I needed to cleanse my medicine wheel. It was tilted. When I was playing hockey, I used to weigh 178 pounds. When I was playing the Prince George Spruce Kings. I'd be lucky if I tipped 152 pounds. Look what alcohol done to me. That's what it does to you. Took my weight down. When I'm out there skating with my boys, man, I couldn't catch up. And you see, how are you when you used to play? I don't know, I used to play on #1 line. We have a lot of young people out there. My chief today is 31 years old. He's a very young chief, really smart. For 6 years I tutored that young man. Teach him how to respect elders, teach him how to respect women, teach him how to respect common sense, point of view, what people say. Don't challenge people, don't yell at them. Look inside of you. Mirror yourself in your spirit and see how this person sounds to you. Once in a while, get out of the way if you need to. Every so often, be the last one. Go into the teeth with the teeth. Even when I was a chief out there, I used to stop people on a mowing machine cutting hay out there. Guy used to be scared, and what's the chief doing? He's going to raise head with me, or what the heck? I gave him a bottle of water. I go where my people are. The women are making potatoes out there, potato field. I go out there with a hoe and I help. At least for 20 minutes. Chief Ken George told me one time before he went became famous, he said, at least if you show yourself for 20 minutes with the people, you'll give it appreciation these 20 minutes. I do that often. I learn that from these people, the elders. I learn it from my elders. I respond. People today ask me, what are you now, Dave? Ever since you left being chief, what are you now? I said, I'm a recovering politician. That's right, they laugh at me. And I'm trying to be serious. I'm a recovering politician. And you give him that. So in a lot of ways, I'm getting tired of recovering. Do you know that? There must be something good about Dave that he doesn't have to recover. Holy smokes. I often wonder, in my journey in recovery, but when I look back today, 1976, 79, who's responsible for recovery in Ataclan Lake? Our women. Our women is the backbone of our recovery in Ataclan Lake. If it wasn't for our women, I wouldn't be standing here today. During my last days of my carnage in my life, I was laid up in front of the post office in Williams Lake, and this little lady came up, but that is just not even this tall. Braved herself, came up to me, looked into my eyes, and he said, Dave, I love you, I care for you, but I'm concerned about your drinking. Holy smokes. This is what I've been looking in the bottom of a bottle all this time. When I looked into her eyes, I could see the Creator. I responded. If she told me to stand on my head in that corner, I would do that too. I wanted what she had. I was so embarrassed. I was so limp. I was so weak. She helped me. Helped me in her van and took me home. That was the last time Dave needed to be on the street. The drinking, the drugging, the gambling has a history. I never knew I was anesthetized in my journey, that I forgot that was incomplete with this residential school history that I had. I forgot about that. I need to go fix that. I was one of these people. 9 years old. Very naive. Speak fluent Shuswap. I still speak my language fluently today. My mother buried it really deep inside me. Stunned as she was, my mother was a very beautiful and loving woman. In her alcoholism, in her drinking, she still loved me and put my language really deep where the system could not get it. Today I teach my Shuswap language to my young people. I take them out in the woods around a campfire and teach them how to talk. My boys knows how to talk to Shuswaps. For a long time I was ashamed. I was ashamed even to touch my language, and I super it up. Today I sing my songs, my grandfather's songs. Today I can ride a horse yet, pretty good. Not too fast, pretty good. I have a bum knee. I had surgery on this knee last January. If this knee could talk, I'll tell you a good story. This used to be my knee that I used to hook when I hop freight trains. I think it's where I got my bum knee from. Not actually hopping freight trains. It's really strange. We do everything when we're drinking, when we're hurting. And yet, we gather around only on funerals And we gather together probably at Christmas time at midnight mass. Creator must say, oh, here they come again. As I speak, you know, one of my elders told me that in the hospital last week, he said, David, I don't know why elders call you by your first name. I like Dave, but is he David? Is he David? But for some reason that name rings, you know. Your mom saved my sister. You know, elders know history. All of a sudden a little clip comes out. I learned from that. When you were in residential school, all that was forgotten. We learn how to survive. Never mind the strapping, never mind the abuse, that confinement. Not be able to see mom. Not be able to see dad for 10 months at a time. You know, I learned how to chew my knuckles and my hips and my fingers in residential school because of anxiety. You know. I used to make myself bleed just to face what reality must be. That's what it is, just to see what reality is. Hurt yourself. At the end time, before I even become a trainer, the drug and alcohol trainer at Michi, I had to learn how to speak, folks. I had a speech impediment. I used to stutter, couldn't talk properly. That's why I say when I come to Alberta, your medicine give me that chance to find somebody in Edmonton. And this old Englishman taught me how to speak. He was very patient with me. He asked me what happened to you to have that stuttering. Where does that come from, you think? I was so embarrassed to let him know that it came from I was God speaking my language. And the supervisor put a good-sized marble in my mouth. I had to keep that in my mouth all day. As a young boy, you know, that's pretty traumatic. So for 2 years I went to therapy with this speech therapist, and he taught me, he brought me out. He gave me this marble and he put it in my hand and he said, Dave, I want you to hold this. As a sad piece of equipment, I held that marble. I said, I needed to thank that piece of stone. I thank that piece of stone. The whole, there's an elder in Michi. We took that marble. We had the tobacco and we fixed it. It's like how things are done over here. That's why they say I'm gratified with you people from Alberta. You give me that gift. You give my soul its voice back. My soul has a voice today. It doesn't have to totter anymore. That's why I tell my wife I need to be in Alberta more often. I have to go over there often. I have to come here. There's people over there that understand my dilemma in residential school. How often us folks, we used to cry softly in our pillows at night. We're little boys, little girls. How often we hear the junior boys in the corner crying softly in their pillows. Many times I did. It used to scorch my soul and my heart, listening to the little guys. And yet we're supposed to grow up to be genuine and warm and tender and real. We were disarmed right off the bat when we were little boys, little girls. My cousins, my big brother and Steve, he was a policeman, RCMP, and my friend back then. RCMP and my friends today. He became a policeman. Desmond Williams. We had a lot of fun. My oldest brother is always getting picked up for drunk, you know. In the very same place at the post office in Williams Lake, I had him by the hand. I was ready to drag him in my pickup, and Steve had him by the other hand. We was going to put him in a trunk thing. We were going back and forth. And Bill used to say, "No, Dave, I'll go with Steve here." No. So even the Creator creates funny scenes, you know. But that was our work. My kid brother's a cop. My whole family are drug and alcohol counselors, every one of them. We're all miracles. We're deadly drunks, the Bellios. We're not a big family in Alkali Lake. Today we're leaders. We're family of leaders. My 23-year-old son won a 2-year scholarship in New York for acting. He's going to be in New York in November.
Yo.
Woohoo! Is that you, Elise? Did you take a speech in bed? Elise was one of my students at Nietzsche. When I was trained at Nietzsche, it's one of my students. So I need to thank you for bringing me over here. I feel really good. I needed to have a journey through the mud. That construction you guys are having. I needed to have some kind of analogy or some kind of example of what my life used to be in a muddy position, you know. That white guy turned his window down, "You okay?" I just had him rammed up. So, situations, you ever find yourself in situations sometimes you don't seem to be able to come out of it? We get stuck. A lot of us, we call it stuckness. We can't seem to get out of it. We seem to have a leg hole trap that can't make it, you know. A lot of my guys are like that. They get stuck how to say certain things, certain few words. But you know, they learn communication. Communication is the best tool to have in going through some of these things here. My dad's communication was quick. Even his horses spoke when the whip came up. But my dad was a provider. He was a trapper, he was a hunter. He done everything so Dave can be here talking with you today. People, you know, back home, the people that started sobriety, Andy Chelsea told the people, and that's true, 80% of our graveyard is alcohol related. And that's true. If you ever come to Alkali Lake, I'll show you where it starts. I'll show you that 80% is where it's alcohol related. Many of my uncles and my aunties are in there, my cousins and my friends. It's really sad. And it's because a lot of it's because of this. They didn't know how to deal with the pain. I had a problem dealing with the pain. I was all over the place. trying to find answers. You know, it's really strange, but it's really odd. I didn't propose to my wife. She proposed to me. Stranger. And that's because, strange as it is, I never knew anything about relationship. I didn't even know what intimacy is. I never knew I had an issue with intimacy and abandonment. I didn't know how to be gentle with human beings. All I do is laugh it off. Oh, that's woman stuff, you know. Walk around with my chicken chest sticking out. But eventually, you know what happens to chicken, you know. You get teachers. You know, when the teacher comes, the learner's ready to learn. And I had a lot of good teachers. I was trained by the best. I was trained by people who were very blunt and who didn't take my BS. He jarred me so hard because you're going to have to work out there, so you're going to have... I tend to high emergencies. I was in Davis Inlet when things were happening awful. I was in the Gustafson Lake Rises when there's going to be a shootout there. It's really strange. My brother was in RCMP over here, and my other brother was in a camp over here, and I was caught riding the point. Over. Here we go again. Back and forth, only this time I'm in the middle. You see? But you know, folks, the greatest miracle that happened is the people over here, many of them in the camp were from here. And I was one of them. When I was in that camp, I sat there and I spoke with the campers and I tell them about our experiences over here. And here's where we're responding from. A lot of them says, the only way you're going to get me out of here is in a body bag. My elder said, you'll need my permission to die if you want to die. And I'm not going to give you that permission. See, your whole life's sacred, Susua. The Susua holds life sacred. And the elders, if you're going to commit suicide, you're going to have to give your permission. And I thought they will. So that was a turnaround. I've learned the hardships. I've learned the very simple ways of our elder. You still hear the classrooms. Back Williams Lake, we tore down our residential school. We took it down. We have a reunion every so often. Oftentimes we have feasts. We have get-togethers like this. I'm really honored that you want to know there is a place where you can warm up in between the rounds. It's not pretty scene out there when you have to go back to your house and that mysterious spirit is still there. Or you want to generate some hope for the youth. My house is just like a parent block house in Ellerslie Lake. I have single parent kids at my house all the time. 13, 14, 15 years old. They're welcome around my house. They feel safe there. I teach them how to make a bow and arrow, you know. I learned that from residential school. Whole trade. Good rabbit hunter. Teach him that. They say, why you learn that from Uncle? From the trade. You have a lot to give, folks. You survivors, you have a lot to give. Our people out there You're the ground for success. Hi, Alec. We made a movie called The Alec Life Story. We've outgrown that movie. We've outgrown a lot of the things that you see in there. We've moved to another level. We've challenged ourselves also to advocate a lot of this, to push through to another step. You ever wonder, where this is all going to end up one day? My son says, Dad, I'll never have you in an elder's home. You see, this is going to be your house and you're going to live here. I'm not going to raise it up, because if you're old, you want to walk through the door like you usually do, you know. Like I said, our women is the backbone of our, this week, on the 18th, I think, there's a women's conference in Alakali Lake. They're having a women's conference. We have men's meetings, men's conferences too during the summer. The men learn how to bond. We have a lot of loggers in our band. They even have meetings up in the logging area. We're slowly getting away from the yesteryear mentality, how the old thinking used to happen. 95% of our thinking, a lot of people, we still live in the old negative place. The other 5% generate ideas. You move and try something. This summer, my daughter is going dancing in Scotland. This girl can speak German, can speak Spanish, speaks 2 languages. She works at the international airport in Vancouver. Oh, she speaks Chinese. Make me laugh. He come in, I was washing dishes there one time, she started talking Chinese to me, Mandarin. He went, going on, She was practicing, you know. It's true. To get a kick out of me, you know, changing my tire, nobody want to help me, you know. I get to know all my people when I was a leader. Oftentimes I journey with my elders to conferences. Oftentimes in the middle of the night, my phone rings, an emergency happens. Without even thinking, I'm up. They're my people. Doesn't matter if it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm gone. I'm gone. They're my people. Whether it's a young man or a baby, single parent, needs a ride, my truck's gone. Or I'll phone my cousin and say, can you take this guy or this lady? Be resourceful. I've learned in my journey, in my recovery, after I've recovered from politics, you know, I learned other ways of healing myself. One of the best gifts I have is speaking today. Once in a while I still get drifted with my speech impediment. Once in a while I get drift. One time, I still use my speech impediment. You know how I use that? The women one time discovered I can oxen thing. This was my speech impediment. I sold 15 pies and I made 345. Way in the back I hear somebody, come on you guys, keep him talking, keep him talking, keep him talking. Not cheap, way in the back, you take a check? Yeah. I use what's negative and make it positive. I grow legs on ideas. I choose not to be looped in the other loop and back in the system and be just a broken person. I teach my young people back home the same way. I'm in the school all the time when I was a chief and go in there and open up prayer, play drum. And we have an elders complex, a little place where they gather like this. I'm there. They tell us their ideas, they show us some things. One of them says, David, I never ride in a plane in all my life. Okay, we're going to go do some mapping on a plane. You're going to come with us. He's 82 years old. We help him up at the little Cessna plane, and we flew off. Bert, you see anything? He's just sitting back there, you wouldn't look down. All through the trip, you would look down and sit in the corner, I hear him saying, boy, I had lots of fun up there. Any questions so far, by the way? Everybody stand up? Okay, just 1 second, yeah?
We have to go back to Assumption School, but there's 10 people, it's just by accident, we ended up here today. What message would you, a survivor, give to this group of 10? This is the next generation.
Yeah. Ask. Like my son, you have every right to know. It's not a secret. Because the behaviors out there reflect something. It's very painful to hold a secret. Painful as it is, I need to tell my son, not specific things, but certain things. Like, for example, the loneliness, the confinement, the abandonment. He needed to know that. He needed to know. And dreams, I never had a dream. I never had a council with my elders. I had no way of conveying any message at all. But I would ask you young people, don't get quiet like I did. Don't be quiet. And also I'll encourage you, and I'll ask you the other folks too. If you can, refrain from bursting that bubble they have. That bubble is so beautiful to watch. I watched different reserves playing hockey back home. And they played so rhythmic, so beautiful out there. They don't hurt one another. Their bubble just squeeze out just like flowers. For me, I'd never say anything negative to my young persons. I would applaud them. You know, when my boy plays hockey, even if he gets beat 11-2, he doesn't come out dragging himself like that. I said, how do you do, son? I had fun, Dad. He gets skunked 11-2, but he had fun. Same way in life. So long as we keep quiet to our young people, You know, history flows over them. We have to step forward and get them, then teach them. We need to be saved for them, if I can put it that way. I need to be saved for them to hear me. And also, I'm not going to be rich to you. There's never a time I'm going to preach you, do this and do that, and do this and do that. I'll tell you about my life. And from there, take what you like and you can leave the rest. There are some things I would never tell you which have never worked for me. You see, I'm a married man. I honor my wife. Her and I are survivors. She was hurt very bad in residential school. Her and I, we lean on one another in recovery. Her and I, we had chronic alcoholic parents. We survived together. We loved one another as such. There's nothing in this world I would do to hurt that woman. Many times in my silence I've hurt that woman. But today I've never. Today we have a good fight. She always wins though. But I always say, can you see it another way? Let's hit below the belt. But you young folks, I'll leave you with this. Have fun in life. Don't go down that crevice I did. Be safe. Play it safe. And also always ask questions. Don't ever get scared of me. Never, ever, ever, ever get scared of me. There's nothing I do in this world that hurts you. Nothing. I'll be just so open to let you know anything. It's like these kids that I show how to make bow and arrow, you know. Oh, they just love that. They just love just to make something that out of their own hands. Or just lift them on a horse. Any questions anymore to answer your question?
When you were in a residential school, did they teach you how to drink?
Oh, yeah. I see wine from the brace.
But that's not causing you to become an alcoholic through residential school. I went to residential school. I never stole no wine, but I became an alcoholic too.
Yeah.
But they never taught me how to drink in Blue Quilt, where I went. The nuns never taught me how to drink. I learned that by myself.
Yeah.
So I have no blame against the school for being an alcoholic.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, but you're talking about it.
Yeah. I became an alcoholic. Doors saying I'm not new.
No, but was that the cause of the residential school?
There's other causes. I guess the thing that's abandonment and things like that. And alcoholism underserved. There are still places where that came
Yeah, but
from.
there's alcohol all over before even our time.
Yeah.
So I don't see why we should be able to blame the school, residential school, for being what we are now today.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you said, you talked about your life.
Yeah.
See, what you just finished saying, I went through the same thing as you did. I was an alcoholic too. I quit drinking 26 and a half years ago. Yet that didn't cost me by going to school. I walked out of school when I was a young man. And the only thing that I didn't like about the school was being lonely at her home. But I was never abused in school. That's the truth.
Yeah.
See, this is why I'm saying, you were saying that the way you're talking, it sounds like it was just on account of the residential school that you became a Skid Row man from Beast right into the States. I don't think the school had taught you to go become a street bum.
No, I don't think so.
But you mentioned that.
Yeah, I mentioned that as an outcome when I left. Guess what's the curiosist thing around? It's a party. But it wasn't the school. They did some of the...
But we're here to talk about the residential school.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? What is happening? What's going to happen?
I think one thing to talk about it.
Talking about it is not enough. Because talking does not do any good.
Sure.
You keep talking about it, it's been talked about for the last several years, and nothing has happened yet. So if we keep talking, nothing is ever going to happen.
What would you recommend we do?
Well, what if the people started? Whoever started, they should finish their job. And they're talking about money now, and this is what everybody's here for. That's the goal, the big money. We don't think about the residential schools that I went to, taught me how to speak English, taught me how to write, taught me how to read, and taught me how to pray. And I still use my own language. I can see. So what we're here for, most of us are here for, is the money, almighty dollar. That's what I think here. That's my own opinion.
Thank you for your input. Any more comments? Any more questions?
I did receive a certain amount of money. To me, it was just like any other given thing. It didn't change me. I'm still suffering. I think my children I gave them all. I gave myself 6,000. That's just the way I want it to happen. That's what's very few to see my money. I don't know how long it's going to be before any one of us gets mine. I've been getting phone calls and see who's your lawyer. I just did more or less my own. I just fought it on my own because I have a chronic lung disease. That's the reason why I got so hurried up with it. So I couldn't go to where I sick to get it right away.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm really thankful that you're here. I haven't been around people in the residential school who have talked about their stories. We talk about being survivors. And I was at a meeting not long ago with the chiefs, and they talked about the residential school and how they were going to deal with that issue. I guess with regards to the money. I like what you said about telling your children about your story. There's some of us that haven't been told a story by their parents. My father passed away about last year, and I think it was 2 years. You know, time just goes by so fast now for me. We talk about being survivors, and I've learned over the years that it's so important to talk about and tell your story. And I guess this is an opportunity for me to listen and to hear. There's only 2 of us in my family, my sisters, that went to residential school. The rest of us went to day school. We started going to day school. I just want to thank you for being here, Dave. I was fortunate to be in Nietzsche when you were there, and to take the first year addictions training when you were there. So I want to thank you for that as well. I know there's a lot of work that went into this, and I think I've heard from a lot of the elders, some of the elders that I have talked to, and you know they don't want to talk about it. You know, that's their choice, that's their decision. But I feel like I've missed out on from my father, from all the things that he went through, and it helps me to understand why he became the person that he became, and then to extend it further to understand the person that I became as a parent and as a grandmother. And I guess there's so much things that I've heard about it. There's so much negative things, but I'm sure there's a lot of positive things too. And I'm trying to live my life today to try to make a change in my life and my family. And I think healing is so important. I think healing is the biggest thing. I think that's what we need to do as a community. I remember a lot of things when we were kids, when we used to, after church, we used to go and meet as a community and have community gatherings, and I think we're missing that. And I think this is one way of getting that back. I guess one of the questions I asked at that time too with the chiefs was, how come there hasn't been anything around the other survivors, those of us who are still here, the younger ones, those who didn't go to residential school but are still affected, and there's that issue as well. So yeah, I think it's just something for those who haven't been there but have been affected, as to look at, and that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
One more. My maiden name is Pauline Janvier, and I'm Mr. and Mrs. Baptiste Black. The reason why I'm saying is this: my mother, I don't know what year she went to school, and my mom and dad got married. Apparently, I didn't exist. 1934 in Saturday. My mother comes, she's a Cree, and my dad is a Chippewa from Cold Lake First Nations. And I'm the oldest one in the family. And I don't want to tell you my age because it doesn't sound so good. 1969. But anyway, I'm really touched with this being a survivor because I'm the oldest one, and I asked to go to school. I want to name a brother that I lost. It's Noel Charlotte. He was the only one that was around me. My grandmother Cecile Janvier had raised. And we were, unfortunately, I guess we were both the same age. And I don't remember, this is 50 years ago. I don't remember if Noel went to school before me, but a man named Janvier told me Noel and I went to school together. But apparently, Noel may have went to school, or may have went to school. My grandmother took him on a bus, was taking him to the bus. And I know that the only thing I can remember is when Noel was leaving, I did not want him to leave alone. I wanted to follow him, and I wanted to go to school. This was about 7 o'clock in the morning, I would think, before our bus come around 8 o'clock, I think. The Sunbird bus would call. It used to go around our mission. And about a mile away, maybe, that's where my grandparents were living. And it went around to the bridge, and my grandmother had to go across before I asked to go to school. At that time, my mother, in a short time, I was about between 8 and 9. When I seen my grandmother and Noel going, I used to sleep upstairs, come down. I said, Mother, Noel is leaving. I would like to go to school. And I had a beautiful long hair. And my mother started braiding my hair when the bus coming, I guess in the morning, real fast. My mother didn't like me to go to school. I feel it, even till this day. She did not want me to go to school because it was too fast for me to make up her mind. But because my grandmother was a second mother to me. Because Noel and I, we were raised together. So, okay, as a child, I'm real anxious to go. And I remember I was happy. My mother dressed me fast. We had, my grandmother was handicapped. We had to run to the bus. I remember that well, getting on a bus, going to Blue Quilt, real happy. Because I was my grandmother and Noel. When we probably might got there at noon. And we bought it. All I can remember is I was brought in, like my grandmother let me go. She took me to a principal, me and Noel, and she registered us. And I remember we used to have a little parlor house, they call it, small one. We had to sit in there, so we could wait for the principal to come and tell us the sister's going to come and get us. You know, when you're a child of 8, 9 years old, you don't. That's 51 years, maybe more. And I never forget. I can flash my story. All I can remember is my hair was cut right up to below my ears. Mind you, I won't lie to you. I was not angry, but I could see the flap of my hair there. They cut my hair, and that's the only bad feeling I had a little bit, because if they would explain to us what they were going to do, maybe it would have been different. But I guess I started from that time. Rules. They're rules. With maybe 150 kids, I don't know. It was just like a dream. I know. I went along. When anybody tells me what to do, okay, you tell me what to do. I went along with it, okay? But when I went to school, I wanted to go to school because I wanted to be with Noel. He was an orphan too. He was given to my grandmother, apparently maybe he was 4 years old. I still don't know today, because I didn't ask questions when we grew up together. And my brother died not long ago. The only reason though, my grandmother raised me and my mother. I went to school. She brought me and registered me. I thank her. She's 60 years ground today. Seeing things in school, whatever happened, it was sad. I wouldn't say I was a good gal either. They used to call it penance when you were punished. That's all I can remember. I went to school from 1 to 3 and 4. I think I finished. My mother was sick. Like I said, everywhere I was taken, one place to another. I was lucky to learn how to read and write. My mother was very sick. I was called in because of loneliness after I got in it. Loneliness and silence. I grew up. All I can remember my mother as I grew up, maybe 14, 15. She told me she never once talked about Blue Quilts. She did. I went to residence school, my girl. I learned how to cook, how to sew, and what else? Many things. And I believed her. I believed her because she taught me these things. She didn't show me how. She taught me, and I live this. You know, I don't want anybody to resent me for what I said. This is my own story. Today, I don't mind it. Whatever has happened yesterday, today is a moment of a beautiful time. Everybody doesn't have that. Yesterday's gone, 50 years ago. Will I ever bring that thing? I don't ever want to tell my children about it. Because my mother didn't tell me nothing. I identify Agnes. But I never, every individual had different feelings about the whole thing. I identify her. She's right many ways when she was a little girl. But I must have been a little taller than her because I was 8, 9 years old. I remember so well. One of the things I really didn't like was seeing things, what happened there. It was pitiful. But that's the only thing they had was cool oil to wash their hair. Because they didn't have any chemicals at that time. Remember this. They didn't have chemicals to, right now they have everything. Government has given us. I accept that. There's a lady maybe sitting, a daughter is sitting, was sitting here. She was my mother. I guess when I went to school, and from my left room when I went to school, I remember there used to be a little hill there. Sitting by myself. I was a silent person, and I was lonely. I sit there. This is what I really got out of loneliness. Today, I still have loneliness. Today, I still feel I do it alone, because that's how I was brought up on the other side. Never mind the Blue Quilts. I felt reluctant, rejected from every department because my mother didn't tell me anything. So why should I tell my parents, my children? It's bad enough this morning I got at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and pick up my grandchildren over here in the muddy place where you went. It's a wonder I didn't get on those tractors there, you know. But my daughter just lives on a hill. You know, I'm glad this thing is going on. Welcome home. Is when I stop drinking, that's when I welcome home. Today I have peace. Up there, the Creator. Looking at you, mister, I think I met you. As an alcoholic. Alcoholism, that was my disease. I didn't drink for 10 years because I was married to my kids at that time. You said a woman's got a backbone. I got 2 or 3 backbones. I don't know where they're sticking out. But I'm proud of what you said. If all men work like you do, man, I tell you today, us women wouldn't be in the streets. My daughter is an alcoholic today. I'm not ashamed of it. At least my daughter bought a beautiful blouse on a graduation day just a couple of days ago. I don't tell anybody what my life is today since I got into a program and I had to go back there. And you know, I'm very happy for this gal. her sister was my true aunt. I love her. Yesterday I didn't like anybody. When I was a little kid, my kids, they still treat me like a little kid. They can tell me up and everything. I'll tell you this. Not on account of sisters, but the sisters, they were not all bad. There were good ones that I picked, that I didn't pick, that were nice to me. You know, today life, it's worse than when we were in Bluequills. But I'll tell you something, I didn't go to educated. I would get on that internet today. My little grandchild is this high, 3 years old, knows internet, email. My daughter told us about her little stories, episodes that happened. My son-in-law is in remand center today. She told us yesterday, only because she had fear. We gave our kids fear when we were drinking. Today, we are sober. It's so hard to talk to your children, to talk to them. This lady that I'm talking about is very special. Her name is Cecile Janvier. She was a handicapped. I'd stay at her place, at my mother's place. I had 3 grandfathers. They were my teachers. I'm using my grandmother's life, my mother too. My mother taught me a few things. She said, my girl, I might get an odd proportion. She said, my girl, when she had, before she died, about a couple of months, I went and see her. She had gangrene on one side, lost on the other side. Both of them were going. She was in pain. And my mother was suffering. That evening, a nurse, beautiful nurse, gave us a bed, and my auntie was in Skid Row for 30 years already. She found her sister, and we found our mother. Where was our brothers and sisters? Here, they gave us. She was so pained, my mother used to get mad at my sister. Oh, my sister is like this. My mother said nothing. She was just right out. I guess they gave her drugs. My auntie was in Skid Row for 30 years. She said, look for that rosary from your mother. She always had a rosary. So she took it out. You would not believe it, my auntie knew how to pray. My mother used to not put her down, but of course alcohol. That will ease her pain. My mother fell asleep, and I figured I'll sleep now because we stayed all day long, me and my auntie. And here my mother woke up and called me. I covered my head and I cried. And she said, Pauline, I heard a little voice. She came to me. Were you crying, Pauline? I lied. I lied. My girl, tell me the truth. You know, my girl, I'll tell you something right there. She's looking at me. Don't lie, my daughter. I could feel you crying. I didn't hear it. I could feel. And that's the same way you'll feel your adults. It made sense. It took me a long time to think of it. I come here with a good heart. Also, I came with a hurt. My kids are alcoholics, so what? If they don't listen to me, I go and help somebody else. There's a lady that was calling me the other day. I'm helping a couple. My husband and I, like a team, they said. You know, the woman has got a white horse, the other one a black one. They'll still go. That's the way I look at it today. I don't put a man down today for what they are. I don't put the sisters or the fathers or the brothers or whatever, because my grandmother was a Catholic. I had to ask questions. I didn't ask questions. My grandfather said to me, your grandmother went to church while I went on a bench for 2 days, and still your grandma walked to church. Today, with alcohol, I feel I murdered your grandma. I'm the only one that knows it, nobody else. Today, I'm not perfect. I don't say I'm not perfect. But I'm helping other people. And I don't want anybody to laugh what I said stays here. I join in with Mother Teresa. I suppose somebody's going to call me Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa picked up people, sick, alcohol, all kinds. Today she's in heaven. 5 years ago I joined them. But like I say, I got out of my way and helped the poorest of poorest. Today I'm helping young kids, taking the place of their mothers and fathers. We're going to have a little dance. I'm teaching them for the least, maybe at least a month. I have been very sick. Today, since I take out of him, my good Lord, give me my health. But when your children are drinking, do you think you're healthy? It hurts. My husband, I listened to him lots of times when I was speaking. When they were small, we stepped on their toes. When they're older, they hurt our hearts. Because I'm here, because I want to be here. When I see those little flags there, one of them is my mother. My dad never went to school because he lived with my mother. My dad died English Bay, close to death. Could be my grandfathers, my grandmothers, they went to school someplace. It's emotional. They're flapping down. And as we're flapping each other here, we don't even say hi to one another, we don't even smile. Is it locals' fault? No, I had awakened somewhere from the one above. If I don't take care of if I don't go with his commandments, and if I don't receive his sacraments, my road is like this. I got a tree, my own tree, me and my husband. Our children, they got their own way. But but for the grace of God, I don't want my grandchildren to see me. They didn't see me. I don't want my great-granddaughter or son to see me. Some of them are white people. I'm not bragging. I'm telling from my heart. It's our community that's not locals' fault. If we could all work together, laugh together, dance together, everything. It's in the Bible. That's where I found it. I helped this poor man. He's not healthy. But we have to teach our little kids, at least make the signs of the cross, because that is how Jesus died for us. So for 21 years I've been walking Good Friday. Who walks with me? Nobody, except this man here. That's a survivor from meningitis. I lost 2 already. I'm not the only one that has had a problem, troubles, just obstacles. Today, that's all you hear. But you said, if we could do it, my mother said, if I can learn Chippewa, 2 years it took me Chippewa, that's a hard language. That's the only thing I took out of my mother. She's a Cree. Only after she died, my little sister told me, do you know how long our mother learned 2 years to learn Chippewa. So she became a Chippewa, not a Cree. But she said, Cree is always in my blood. In my blood. So it was me too. I'm have everything, 3 ways. White man today. 2. Gee, wish I went to the bathroom just now. You just press the toilet and everything, you know. In our days, we had little Johnny out there. We used to have catalogs, you know. We had Eatons. Now today they're in modern. They got Sears. Boy, I mean, it was pretty rough. But today I'm standing. My dad used to joke with, why don't you girls go and pick up some grass, you know? But I miss my parents. But they were good teachers. And now my sisters and brothers are calling me. I guess I'm the mother. Because we're drinking, the environment was like this. You make soup with a vegetable soup. It's just like that, my life. So thank you very much, sir. I think I've seen you before, and I've liked what you said, and I'll try my best to look after Pauline first. I can't look after anybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everyone that spoke. Thank you for David for being here with us. And we're going to have dinner now. We want to take a break for dinner. It's being served now.
You're not a young man.